Okay, so today we got to follow up on Chuba Hubbard, Mike Gundy, OAN, and shirts, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, we got to talk about Chuba Hubbard, Tylan Wallace, Amin Ogbongbemiga, and Mike Gundy's shirt. So to catch y'all up that ain't on the Twitters or on the Twitter machine making all the tweets happen, Mike Gundy wore an OAN shirt to go fishing. Stands for One America News. And then that got tweeted by Kyle Boone at Pistols Firing CBS Sports. Kyle does amazing work. Friend of mine does my radio show from time to time. And I took it as the emperor not having on any clothes. Wear your clothes if you want to. Wear your shirts if you want to. The shirt ain't the deal here. What is the deal here is a player rebellion led by unanimous All-American Chuba Hubbard, who was quickly joined by the defensive leader and star linebacker for the Oklahoma State Cowboys, Amin Ogbongbemiga. And then Grayson Boomer chimes in. And then Tylan Wallace chimes in. And then Patrick Macon chimes in. And a whole host, including AJ Green, of players decide now is the time to take a stand against what they believe is a coach that has taken advantage of them and taken advantage of his position and how he chooses to coach them. So what I find to be most interesting about this topic of conversation is how Oklahoma State fans in particular, but most fans of OAN, which many people didn't know existed and stands for One America News, are taking the tack that why is it a big deal that Mike Gundy wears a shirt? It is his right to wear a shirt. To which I offer up this. It's like a man with a shirt walks into a shirtless bar screaming obscenities, and instead of you asking the man not to scream obscenities, you start defending his right to wear a shirt. It ain't about the shirt. And sometimes it feels like I'm making points to folks that want to talk about rounds. The shirt ain't the point. The shirt, as a watershed moment, as a straw that broke the camel's back, is the point. Because now we are finding out from his players what Mike Gundy is actually about and what they believe has to change within their university for them to even want to play football anymore. We have Burns Hargis issuing a statement about a tweet. Burns Hargis, for those of you that don't know, is the president at Oklahoma State University. And I'm going to read you the statement just so everybody is on the same page here and there are no ifs, ands, buts about what was said. Okay? Okay. So, Burns Hargis, who had nothing to say about the shirt, though the shirt is not the point. I'm actually going to stop talking about the shirt because the shirt ain't the point. Statement says, I hear and respect the concerns expressed by our black student athletes. This is a time for unity of purpose to confront racial inequities and injustice. We will not tolerate insensitive behavior by anyone at Oklahoma State. So, to this particular issue, since Chuba Hubbard made it a national story at about 1:45 p.m. Central Standard Time, I find one of the aspects of this that needs to be discussed is what the players are actually referencing. And it feels like they are referencing some form of prejudice. Okay? No matter how you feel about OAN, and no matter how you feel about Mike Gundy, I think we all respect the opinions of the student athletes, particularly the ones that are, unanimous All-Americans. But also, this is a particularly interesting time as we're seeing college football players flex their power to provide a more inclusive environment. Myself, having done a couple of years pursuing my PhD at Oklahoma State, can speak to the environment. It is mostly white. Most of the black folks that are on campus are playing a sport of some kind. Most of Mike Gundy's football team is black. And many of the players that are stars on it also are black. Ogbongbemiga, Tylan Wallace, Spencer Sanders, Chuba Hubbard, list goes on. I also find it particularly interesting that Mike Gundy has opinions that his players know about, that we might know about, that need to be aired out or at least acknowledged. And they are forcing an acknowledgement here. Because in the way that they are forcing an acknowledgement here, we are also going to find out what Mike Gundy believes, right? Even as we talk about whether or not, Mike Gundy has stacked more L's in the last 3 months than Lincoln Riley has stacked in 3 years. Which leads to the fun part of this conversation, which is what happens to Chuba Hubbard, Tylan Wallace, and whatnot if they don't get what they want, if Mike Gundy doubles down on his belief, whatever those are. I choose to believe that it'd be fun to have Chuba Hubbard at Oklahoma. It'd be fun to have Tylan Wallace at Oklahoma. Certainly could use him. Lost Trey Sermon to Ohio State. Lost Jane Hazelwood for the year, seems, to an ACL injury. And Theo Howard, it seems, for the year to an Achilles injury. So wide receivers would be helpful, particularly those that can win Biletnikoff Awards like Tylan Wallace, and running backs would be helpful, particularly those that have won unanimous All-American at Oklahoma State and rushed 2,094 yards and is recognized as the best running back in Oklahoma State history this side of Barry Sanders. This is also interesting in that Mike Gundy had a team that was returning 19 starters and had one of the highest returning production rosters in the country, and is expected to compete for a Big 12 championship and perhaps get its first 10-win season in 3 years. This after going 15-11 over the last 2 and losing to Texas A&M in the Texas Bowl in December. This is also Mike Gundy, who has made his name by being authentically stubborn, both good and bad, both in backing his players and getting rid of some. But whatever it is, you will know that it is Mike Gundy's football program first, foremost, and always. This is a man who wore a white suit to Boone Pickens' funeral. This is also a man who knows exactly what he wants, and that Oklahoma State's the only place that he's actually wanted to be, even as he's flirted with other universities, mostly to get a raise. And that makes him the second most powerful person in the state of Oklahoma, behind Lincoln Riley. Even more powerful than the governor, especially when Oklahoma State is winning football games. So how he feels about this particular incident and how he reacts to it is going to reverberate not just across Stillwater, the state of Oklahoma, but the country. How he chooses to respond to Chuba Hubbard and the team is also going to have ramifications throughout the country in this moment of Black Lives Matter, which cannot be understated. I get that there are folks that don't agree with Chuba Hubbard, but in the way that you will say, hey, it's just a shirt, I will say, it's fine that you don't agree with him. But in this particular instance, it doesn't matter that you disagree with him. It doesn't matter that I might disagree with Mike Gundy. What does matter is whether or not this gets reconciled, either this summer and ahead of spring or preseason football or not. Either way, it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch play out. I hope it plays out for the better. I also acknowledge that things get worse before they get better. So I hope they have the necessary and important conversations that lead to change. And whether or not Mike Gundy chooses to participate in the quarter turns that we saw from folks like Dabo Swinney, it's going to be interesting. But I never thought that I would live in a world where I am proud of the University of Texas football head coach more so than I am of a native Okie. Wild times. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.